I've been investing for the past 7 years, and during this time I pretty much tried all the popular investment brokers in Europe, and in this video I'm going to go over each of them and tell you exactly which one is best for you. I've also created complete beginner tutorials for all of the brokers I'll cover in this video, so once you've decided what broker to use, feel free to watch those tutorials to get started quickly with investing. I'll leave all the links in the video description. Now let's set the baseline here. Keep in mind that I'm a long-term investor and not a day trader, so I buy 1 or 2 assets a month and that's pretty much it. Most of my portfolio is in ETFs and I have some individual stocks and crypto, so my review of these brokers is from this perspective. So let's get started with the first platform, which is Etoro. And Etoro was actually my first platform that I started with back in 2017, as it was recommended to me by one of my colleagues. So let's start with the advantages of Etoro. First of all, I really like how easy it is to use. The interface is really intuitive. You can find everything quite easily, and I think they just separate everything like it should be. In addition, I like that they have virtual accounts so that you can play around with fake money, but real stock prices, and then once you're ready, you can actually switch it to real money. So really useful if you're starting out. Another advantage of using Etoro is that they have copy trading. This is a unique feature to them, and basically you're able to copy other traders. Whatever they do, Etoro will automatically copy their trades, and whenever they sell, it automatically sells, and so on. Super useful. This is actually how I started with the Etoro. I just copied other traders, and my goal was to just learn from them, but in the end I just copied and didn't learn actually. So I do advise, if you want to learn quickly, then just do it yourself. That said, they also have another unique aspect to Etoro, is the fact that you have the community and you have a lot of this social element to the platform, where every asset, for example here Tesla, every asset, you can see what people are talking about it. This social element built into Etoro, which I really appreciate, and it's unique to all of the platforms I will cover today. Another benefit of using them is that you also have a lot of assets. You have commodities, you have forex, you have basically everything. And on top of that, you can also short sell. That means you're betting against the stock. So if the stock market goes down, then you make money. And if it goes up, you lose money. You also can use leverage, which just means that you borrow money to actually put more into the trade. So if you're buying a Tesla for $1,000, you can leverage by 2. That means you borrow another 1,000 and then you have 2,000 and you invest that. That just means if the stock goes up, you're gonna make double the money, but also if the stock goes down, you lose double. So if you're a beginner, be really careful with leverage and also short selling. Another thing that I appreciate about the platform is that they have advanced research tools. Not only do you have all the charts, but you also have analysis, you have things like how hedge funds are investing, and you have financial data just in one dashboard. So it's really useful when you really want to go deep in one of the assets you're looking at. And on top of that, the fee for just buying a normal stock is $1, and if you are in these exchanges, it's $2. So it's good enough. However, it's really hard to distinguish if you're buying a real stock or a CFD. And CFD just means it's a contract for difference, and you're basically not owning the underlying asset. You're just kind of making a contract that if the price goes up, the broker will pay you, and if it goes down, then you need to pay the difference. It's a little risky because you pay more fees. You have your daily fees, and then you have weekend fees that you need to pay. You can see these fees when you buy a CFD, but what I really don't like is that it's so hard to distinguish. You see here at the top, that's the only way I can distinguish this stock being a CFD and this stock is not. So it's, as you can see, it's really misleading in some ways. And then there's 2 features that are really missing from this platform. First is recurring investments. So you set it and forget it, and it will invest every month, every week, whatever you set it to. And that's really important if you're a long-term investor, so you don't need to do decisions all the time. And the second feature that is missing is that the fact that you can't transfer your assets to another broker. So you can't just take your stock and then transfer that to another broker, but you actually have to first sell it, take the money, move the money to other broker, and so on. So this is, all the other platforms allow this, and if you at any point want to move completely away from Etoro, it's not possible. You'll have to sell everything. Now that said, I have been on Etoro 7 years and I never needed this. I just started on a new platform and then I kept everything else on Etoro. So, but it's something that people mention when they talk about different platforms. Oh, and another thing in terms of protection for your money, for your assets, you have 20,000 if you're in the EU, because it's the EU part is regulated in Cyprus, and if you're in the UK, you have 85,000 pound protection. So that means if they go bankrupt, if there's any issues, you getting your assets or money back, there is some guarantee by basically this organization. And just so you know, this video is not sponsored by any of these companies. Actually, I've never taken any sponsorships from investment brokers. I just find it a major conflict of interest. However, most of the links in the description down below are affiliate links. So if this video helped you with your decision, then you can support me by using one of the links with no extra cost to you. The next platform is Degiro, or like the Dutch say, Degiro. I've been with them for about 2 to 3 years. Okay, let's talk about the benefits of using Degiro. First of all, it's easy to use. It's maybe not as intuitive as Etoro, but it's on a good level. It's easy enough to start with. Now, the platform is super easy to use. For example, if I'm looking for Tesla, you can see that it appears here. I have a few different options. These are different exchanges. And for example, if I choose this one, this is in Germany, and I come here and just scroll down, I can look at how the stock is doing, what the financials are saying, and so on. And then I can also just buy it from here. It's quite straightforward if I select the market order, and I just buy 5, and now I could place the order. Easy to use, no problem at all to, even if you're a beginner. Just take a tutorial or something, it's quite clear. It's also regulated in the Netherlands and Germany. And on top of that, you can also, if you're fed up with Degiro, you can always take the assets and transfer that to another broker. However, you do have fees. I think it was 10 euros for transfer per asset, but at least the option is there. Another cool thing about Degiro is, for example, if I'm looking for ETF, VUSA, which is a popular ETF, you can see I have many options here. So you have 5 different exchanges. So this is Amsterdam, I think this is London, and so on. If you're investing into ETFs or just stocks in the major exchanges, then you're good to go. They have everything that you would want to have. All the world ETFs, S&P 500, Euro Next, all the assets you would want as a European investor. And on top of that, you get 100,000 euro protection if you signed up after 1st of April 2024. I don't know what the difference is there. However, if you sign up after, you have the full 100,000 euro protection, which is nice to know if you park your cash there or you. And notice how here it's 100,000 for the cash, and then you have 20,000 for the assets. So there's a distinction between those two. Now, the cons that I see with it is that they don't have recurring investments. For a person like me that I just want to set it and forget it, it's a little bit of a deal breaker because I have to go there and actually set it myself. So that's something I don't like about the platform. Now, unfortunately, when it comes to fees, Degiro is the most expensive one, because if you're buying US stocks, you can see that you have here 2 euro handling fees. And if you're buying European stocks, it says Irish, but if you're buying the European stocks, it's 3 euros. And remember, you pay that when you buy the stock and when you sell it. So that is double or triple than the other ones on today's video. So it's definitely more than the other ones. It's not a lot of money, but if you're investing with, let's say, 200 or 300 euros, then you're already paying a 1 or 2% just to own the stock. So, but if you invest with bigger amounts, 1,000 euros, then this is a less of a problem. Another thing is that they don't have CFDs, so that means they don't have commodities or Forex, so that's something is missing from them. To be honest, if you're just passive investor, you don't really need these things, and if you do, then you can always use other platforms to trade those CFDs. Also, for some of the features like options, futures, mutual funds, you actually need to qualify to use those. So you don't get it just out of the box. You actually need to qualify it. You need to answer a few questions and things like that. So if you want to do something more advanced, things like that, then you would need to pass that, I guess, that qualification. But so far, I haven't needed it. If you're just doing stocks and ETFs, you're good to go with Degiro. By the way, I've started a newsletter where I share my thoughts about investing in personal finance from a European perspective. For example, in a few editions back, I dove into whether you should invest in euros or dollars when buying US stocks. If you want to receive the weekly newsletter, just sign up. The link will be in the description. Okay, the next next platform is Trading 212, and this was recommended to me by a friend a few years back. So the pros of using Trading 212 is that it's super easy to use. It's on par with Etoro. It's easy. It's as easy as it gets. So if you look at the dashboard here, I think it's even more clear than Etoro or Degiro. So you can see here clearly, it is just so straightforward. You don't have anything that is unnecessary. So for example, again, if you look for Tesla, it just jumps out here. I have a few different options. So for example, if we take this one in the Nasdaq or Deutsche Börse, so I can choose from here and I could simply buy it from here if I wanted to. You just set the number of shares. You can have also the typical order types you want, and it's just so straightforward. Another advantage of using Trading 212 is that they have this unique feature called investment pies, and this is basically a bundle of different assets, and then you can adjust the percentages as in the pie itself. So here in my portfolio, if I scroll down, I have a few pies here. For example, let's click on the AI companies. If I click on it, you see the overview how they're doing overall. But if I click here I have basically 3 stocks, and you can see one of them is clearly bigger. So I have Nvidia, AMD and Microsoft. So this is how they're distributed. So I could now just come here and rebalance it. So if I click on rebalance, so here it will rebalance it. You see that Nvidia will go from 73 to 50, and then these two go from about 12, 14 to 25. And here it sells the stock, and here it buys the 2 stocks. So that way it rebalances it automatically. Super helpful if you have a certain strategy where you want to rebalance every year, every half a year your portfolio. This way it makes it super easy. Or you could have just your overall investment portfolio pie where you say, okay, 50% is always ETFs, and then the rest is like 25% stocks and 25% crypto. Pretty cool feature because you can also copy these pies from other investors. What I really like about how Trading 212 has done the CFD part is that you have 2 different platforms. You have the Invest, which you're actually buying the assets, and then you have the CFD, which then you have more options to buy things, but they're all CFDs. It's super clear which platform you're on. And if you use the CFD, that's the contract for difference, which always costs more. So anytime you buy a CFD, there's other costs involved, like overnight fees and weekend fees. So you can see that this is how Etoro should do it as well. And obviously with CFDs, you get a lot of options. You have the commodities, you have Forex, everything there. It's not the cheapest to use CFDs, but again, if you're starting out, I would just start with Trading 212 Invest. They also don't have any fees except conversion fees. So if you convert any currency, then you will have some fees there. But if you're just buying stock in your own currency with the same currency, then you're good to go. There's no actual fees. And they seem to be making all the money on the CFD part of their platform. Another cool addition is that if you keep cash on Trading 212, you get quite high interest rates right now. I think for Euro, it's about 3.7% right now. That's going to change by the time you're watching this. And then for pound, it's just above 5%. So quite high compared to some other banks, at least in where I live. And especially if you're living in the UK, Trading 212, they offer this ISA account, which is individual savings account. And it basically lets you save cash tax-free, which obviously you want to do. There's some limit on it, but check it out if you're in the UK. A lot of people saying this is quite beneficial to them. Now, in terms of cons of using Trading 212, it used to be that you can't actually move your assets to another broker, but they seem to be changing that. And by end of this year, 2024, they should be rolling it out for all the users. So I hope that actually gets done. So I hope they're actually gonna follow through that. After that, if you can move it to somewhere else, there's just less risk in terms of being, being confined to this platform. Now, similar to Etoro, because there's this part that you can also invest in CFDs. CFDs are quite expensive and you need to know what you're doing. So if you're starting out, you need to be careful with it so you don't choose the platform with CFD, but at least they're quite clearly indicated as soon as you log into the platform. And in terms of your protection, you have 20,000 in the EU and 85,000 pounds in the UK. So it's the same as Etoro had. The next broker I was introduced to is Interactive Brokers. I've been with them for almost 2 years now. So the pros of using interactive brokers is that it has very low fees. I'm paying about €1.25 when I buy an ETF for 1,000 euros, and I would say it's quite low. Another thing I really like about it is that they have recurring investment. Actually, that's why I'm using interactive brokers a lot, because I've just set it, and now for the last 18 months, it's just doing it automatically. I just send money from my bank account to interactive brokers, and then they reinvest that to the ETF I want. Recurring investments, that's super useful. So for the same ETF that I already mentioned, we have here recurring. I could click on it and set up new recurring investments. And here you actually see this is what I buy every month, 1,000 euros, and this one will be executed in 5 days. So I set it once and I don't need to think about it again. I might adjust the amount, so I don't always invest 1,000. I just got a bit of extra money, so I thought I'm going to invest for a few months 1,000. But before that, it was a 500 every month. So it just frees up so much mental capacity when you actually just let it do it automatically. And what calms me down is that it's actually a public company in the US, so they are on NASDAQ stock exchange. You could buy the stock as well, and that means they have quite strict regulations in terms of what they can do and what they can't. And obviously, if you want to find out how they're doing, how their financial statements, you can find that all online. So you're not guessing. With all the other platforms, they're not public, so you don't always know how are they doing financially, because you want your broker to make some money, because if they're not, they might go bankrupt, right? So I think this is a big positive for interactive brokers. I know for as a European, endorsing an American company maybe not always the best, because we have good alternatives in Europe, but they're doing a great job, so I can't deny that. And in case you move one day to another country outside Europe, for example, interactive broker is in 100 plus countries, so it is a very popular platform worldwide. And you see it all over Reddit. People always mention interactive brokers if somebody's asking about platforms. You also have possibility to trade in CFDs. However, you do need to ask for qualification or permission to actually use them. I haven't asked for that because I just don't need that. So if you're planning to just passively invest, then I would, interactive broker is great. If you want CFD investing, then I would maybe look at the other platforms I already covered earlier in this video. Now, in terms of the negatives when it comes to interactive brokers is that it is very clunky to use. The user interface is just a bit overwhelming when you're starting out, and it's not as good as the other ones. So the usability is the worst of all of these platforms. Just look at this. Before you even log in, you have here so many options. Look at this. What are all this? Why is there so many options? That's the thing, they have been so long around that they have different platforms. So this is the Interactive Brokers desktop. You can see, if I would see this as a beginner, I would just scream and run away. I don't want to look at this. This is just overwhelming. Same thing, this one, Trader Workstation, which is obviously meant for active traders. So if you're just starting out, you wouldn't get this one, but it's not very clear. They have the Interactive Brokers Mobile, and then they have also Interactive Brokers Global Trader. And actually, this is the one that is more streamlined, that looks a little bit better than all the other platforms. It's just simplified version of it. But still, even that one is a little clunky compared, for example, to Trading 212 or to Trade Republic that we're gonna cover in a second. When it comes to actually using this, once you get used to it, it's okay. You know where things are, but sometimes, for example, if you want to see fees or something, it takes time to find that because it's just not intuitive. That said, it is the most robust platform. It's been around for a long time, and a lot of traders just use it because it is, it's here to stay. But that's the thing, it has a steep learning curve, and once you get it, then it's easy to use. For me, I set up the recurring investments, and I don't actually log in that often to the platform itself. So that's why the usability is less important because you're not going to use it as often. And also for some assets like options and futures, you do need to qualify for that and answer a few questions, same as in Degiro, and only then you can get access to them. But again, if you're just investing in stocks, ETFs, you don't need to do that. And what I don't like about Interactive Brokers is that the interest rate on your cash is really low. Like it's up until 10,000 is zero, and then after 10,000 you get something, but it's almost the same as just putting your money in your bank account and just keeping there. If you want a place to keep your cash for interest payments, then I would look into Trading 212 or Trade Republic, which I will cover in a bit. And what's strange is that it's such a big company and they still only offer 20,000 euro protection, whereas with Degiro you have 100,000 nowadays. So I hope they change that just to have a bit more insurance that if anything happens, that money is guaranteed by other organizations. And then we have Trade Republic. I've been with them maybe for about a year right now. So let's talk about the advantages of using Trade Republic. First of all, it's EU only. So if you're in the UK, this is not an option for you. I would look at Trading 212. Its interface is probably the sleekest out there. It's super simple to use because they also don't have so many features. On top of that, you pay low fees. It's just €1 for US or Euro stocks. So in terms of that, you're not overpaying. And another benefit of using them is that you have the option to set recurring investments. So you can put it, just invest every month into certain stock, and then it will do it for you. And because it's regulated in Germany, you get the 100,000 euro deposit guarantee because it's a bank basically. And in addition, they offer really high interest rates. They're really close to Trading 212 in terms of how much interest rate. Right now, they were just above 3%. And then let's talk about the kind of disadvantages of using Trade Republic. First of all, it is very limited in terms of what you can buy. This is because they are actually just on one exchange. They offer assets from one exchange in Germany. So whatever they have on that exchange, they can offer you. They have the basic stuff, but they don't have every asset that you would like to have because some of them are missing there. Now, Trade Republic only has a mobile app. So if you want to use it on desktop, that's not even possible. And another disadvantage kind of related to one exchange is that they don't have any options, futures, they don't have CFDs if you want that. It's really a nice platform for long-term investing with limited options. By the way, when I've spoken to some of my viewers in Europe, I've noticed that many people want to start investing, but they get stuck on all the details and overthink everything. That's why I've created the European Investing Fast Track training, which gives you a step-by-step system to skip the guesswork and start investing confidently in just a few days. If you're interested, there'll be a link in the description. So, what broker would I choose as a European if I was new to investing and just starting out? I would use Interactive Brokers or Trading 212. The fact that Trading 212 offers the cash protection and high cash interest rates just makes it a very interesting platform. And if I lived in UK, the ISA account can be really beneficial, especially when it comes to taxes. And well, Interactive Brokers is just a very solid platform where you can just set recurring investments and then forget about it basically. But then again, I can understand that for many of you, the clunky interface is a bit of a turn-off, and especially if you like to use it daily or something like that. That said, it's more important that you start investing as soon as possible. There is no perfect choice regarding brokers. Only by starting with one of them, you can learn what you like and what you don't like. You need to keep in mind that many investors have multiple platforms for different tasks. For example, you could have Degiro where you invest in ETFs, and then you use Trade Republic for cash interest payments. Now, I've been investing for the last 7 years, and there are a few mistakes that I really wish I hadn't made. Without them, my portfolio would have been probably double the size. That's why I created this video right here, so you can avoid losing time and money by making the same mistakes I did.